As you're watching this video, I am already in Spain, but as I am filming this, as you can see, I'm still at home about a day and a half before I am leaving for the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship, and I thought it would be pretty cool to just sit down and have a little chat before the event and just talk about like what's going to be happening, what I am expecting, what's going to be on around the event, and also for those who are not going to be at the World Championship this year, of how they can follow, what they can expect online, and everything else in relation to the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship that is going to be starting next week on the 15th of September. The World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship in 2024 was actually the event that got me into speed puzzling. As opposed to many other people, I actually just looked up if there's puzzle competitions and anywhere in the world, or if that's a thing at all. That was like January 2024, and I found the World Championship, and I thought it was so very cool that I signed up immediately and only got into speed puzzling afterwards and started finding content creators that talk about speed puzzling or puzzling in general. So that's pretty much how I got involved in speed puzzling at all. So the 2024 World was definitely a huge and influential event for me. I had an extremely good time, and also once the event was over, I was very, very sure that I would attend again. I was pretty lucky at last year's competition because I did make it into the final in every single round. So I got to experience firsthand like how exciting it is in the finals. I am going to be pretty excited to see if I make it into the finals this year. I have been training very hard to perform well in the competition, but I have been very excited about this event for pretty much the entire year. I signed up a couple of days after registrations opened, and I have been training for the competition since then. Like, I anyway puzzle a lot, but especially running up to the event in like the past 2 months, I would say, I tried to do at least 2, but ideally 3 puzzles a day, just to, well, first of all, go through as many Ravensburger puzzles as I possibly could, and also just to improve on my times, just play a little bit around with strategies, what works best, also just to shrink myself down into like the space that I'm going to have at the World Championship, because it's actually surprisingly small tables at the event, so you kind of have to get used to like your space management in that sense as well, because all of a sudden it's way smaller than my usual puzzling desk. So there has been a lot of things that I have been practicing, and I have just been going through whatever Ravensburger puzzle that I could reach. I did manage to improve most of the times on the puzzles, but also I cannot tell what that's going to be enough for. And the reason for that is that there's a huge number of newcomers at the event and not that many returners. As far as I know, there's only about somewhere around 60% of newcomers at the event and only 40% returners. So it's very hard to tell who is on what level if you don't know very much about the puzzling scene in every country. So it's hard to tell what that's going to be enough for. I do think that the competition has been just speeding up so much, because if we think about like the World Championship in 2022 or even 2023, people with a completion time of about an hour would still comfortably make it into the finals. But already last year that was very different. So last year you had to have a time of under 50 minutes to get into the finals. So just to get into the semifinals was still, I think, doable with somewhere around an hour if you were in the right group. But then in the semifinals you had to get under 50 minutes. And the main reason that I know that is because I had a time of 49:56, I think, during my semifinal round last year. And I barely made it into the finals, like literally 2 placements behind me, people were not qualified. For the individuals, my goal would be to at least make it into the semifinals, and I would be extremely happy if I made it into the finals. I do think that I have a complete 50-50 chance. Now, the first thing is that, as you have probably seen in other videos already, there has been a change in the rules. So in the preliminary rounds, you actually get 2 puzzles that you have to choose from. And that is a thing that I'm just trying to completely ignore at this point. I always make the wrong choice. I also make very sure every single time in a pair and in a team as well to just tell my partner or the team members just to never trust my choice, because I always pick the wrong puzzle. So already with the first round, I have this 50-50 of either I choose the wrong puzzle and then I'm going to be sitting there, or I get lucky. I'm usually in like the top third of competitors in finishing times, but then that is the cutoff point at World. I'm mostly interested in the pairs and the teams round because my pair is fabulous. So I really think that we would make it into the semifinals. And then for the teams, I am very confident that we're going to do pretty well. I am going to be in Team Jigsaw, as you have probably seen already. This is a German team, but we are not allowed to represent Germany in the sense that even though all 4 of us live in Germany, only 2 members of the team are actually German citizens. So our team is Franziska, Caroline, Michelle and me. And well, there would be a need for 3 people at least in the team who are German citizens for us to be able to represent Germany. But obviously the World Championship is not really just a competition anymore. It's more like a puzzle convention where really people get together. It's just a whole roller coaster of puzzle people getting together and just doing puzzles literally everywhere that they reach. I am, for example, going to be bringing about 7 or 8 puzzles with me to Spain that I am swapping with other people. And from what I have counted, I will have a big bunch of puzzles that I'm bringing home, and that's not counting the competition puzzles. But there are also a lot of events that are planned for the entire week of the competition. So one of them is actually related to the puzzle here in front of me, which is a 2,000-piece puzzle from Peace Relax. And if you have been active in like the puzzle corner of social media, you have most probably seen this puzzle with a lot of content creators already. This was a part of Peace Relax's campaign to draw attention to a pop-up event that they're going to be having in Valladolid, which I'm actually looking forward to very much, partly because of this puzzle, because this is an example of the artist's work. He's called Shinji Yamamoto, and as far as I know, there's going to be a 10,000-piece puzzle challenge throughout the entire pop-up event of Peace Relax with his artwork. So I'm looking forward to that very much, because in this puzzle there's just so much detail and exactly the kind of puzzle that I like very much, like these whimsy fantasy figures that are appearing everywhere. Like these are specifically fairy tales that are showing up on the picture. So there's going to be that, and like they're planning all kinds of games at the event. So you're going to see a little bit more of the events on Peace Relax's site if you look it up. So there's going to be a lot of things happening in the dome, which is not just the puzzle competition itself. The event itself starts on Monday, I think from around 12 o'clock. There's going to be like an opening ceremony, and then the first thing is going to be a world record attempt for a 40,000 puzzle that they want to put together in an hour, which is quite ambitious, but there's going to be a lot of people present. So from what I know, they divide that 40,000 piece puzzle up into like smaller sections, and then each participant could sign up through their associations to be puzzling. There are still a couple of free spots, I think. So if you are interested in that, you can still look at the World Championship website and find out how you can sign up for it there. What's interesting about that for me is that I'm not going to be participating in the attempt itself, but I will be speaking through the live stream. And here I can tell you a little bit more about the live stream. It's going to be run by Michelle from speedpuzzle.eu and Jim, who is also very much involved in the Euro Jigsaw Jams. So they have worked together a lot in co-hosting events, and I think they're going to do a great job. So they're going to be speaking in the live stream throughout the entire event with co-hosts, obviously, and they are going to be switching up so that not both of them are speaking all the time, plus Michelle has to compete from time to time. So they are going to be hosting the live stream, and they are going to have a couple of co-hosts coming in for each round of the competition. And you're also going to be seeing me pop up in the live streams, because as I said, I'm going to be doing the world record attempt on Monday with Jim, but I'm also going to do a preliminary solo round and one of the team rounds. So I am going to be popping up in the live stream, and I am looking forward to that very much. Since I was doing the live stream for the European Championship, I do know how much effort it takes. So I'm looking forward to it very much, and I think Michelle and Jim are going to do an incredible job. So once the world record attempt is over, there's going to be another competition which is specifically for the associations that are involved with the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship. That is going to be a competition for each association. They can have a maximum of, I think, 10 members, and they have to compete on a 1,500 piece puzzle, which is going to be a challenge. And then once that is over, there's actually going to be an opening dinner that I think you can still sign up. And then what the organizers also do is actually like a historical tour of Valladolid. It's a sightseeing walk around the entire town, which I think is very, very nice. I did attend it last year, and if you haven't participated before, then I would definitely recommend it, because Valladolid is actually a pretty interesting city. So there's a lot to see, there's a lot of history that they can tell you about, and if you're into that kind of stuff, you're going to have a great time. So I definitely recommend the city walk. What's also going to be happening is there's going to be puzzle sales again, because 2-time world champion Alejandro is going to be selling new puzzles. These are the ones that he was selling last year. So it's his smaller puzzle brand called Ole Puzzles. And yes, these are pretty cool puzzles that are kind of like collector's items in a sense. They're bringing out 3 images now, and I think all of them look pretty cool. So I am debating if I want to get all 3 of them or just kind of shrink it down to 2. But they all look very, very cool, and that's also going to be happening around the dome. So those who are there and think they're not going to go home with a lot of puzzles are probably very wrong. So these puzzles are pretty cool. I have enjoyed both of them massively. As you can see, one of them is even signed. I actually never caught Alejandro to sign this one for me, but I will probably try and do that with this year's release. Another thing that is also going to be happening, and that's kind of a new thing, it was announced, I think, just a couple of days ago. It is going to be a puzzle party, which is going to be happening on the Tuesday, I think. And that's pretty much a thing that I have heard of happening before. Actually, from what I know, the Hungarian Association organizes these puzzle parties from time to time, but in a slightly different way. The way I understand that is going to work is you can kind of sign up for it anytime, and you're going to get a seat at one of the tables. I think 400 people can take part in one round. Everyone gets seated at the table and starts puzzling. And then once a certain amount of time has passed, you're going to have to stand up on cue and move on to a next puzzle and just continue from where someone left off, which I think is a very cool challenge. And I'm pretty excited to see what that is going to look like, especially with the logistics. The dome itself is not very big, so I don't know how 400 people are going to be moving around tables, but we're going to have to see. So that's going to be something to look out for, because it might be a pretty cool game. And apart from that, if you have ever been to Worlds, you know that the dome is just a complete hub of people pretty much any time of the day. There's people sitting around outside, there's an entire grassy area. In 24, they have also set up a screen outside, so you didn't have to stay in the dome the entire time, because it is small. So it's a small location for the amount of people that are going to be there. So there are a lot of people sitting outside, pretty much like a street festival, just sitting around in the grass, watching the live stream, hanging out. Last year, there were also some tables set up outside where people were just puzzling non-stop. So there's just a constant flow of people, and you are going to be finding friends pretty much anywhere if you're there. Also, the one thing I am looking forward to very much is to see what the puzzles are going to be this year. As with everybody else, I was trying to guess what puzzles might turn up in the preliminary rounds. Then for the semi-finals and the finals, it's actually going to be unreleased puzzles, which is very, very good. And there has been so much discussion about how the preliminary rounds should also be unreleased puzzles, but that's logistically not really possible because of the amount of rounds and the amount of puzzles that you have to provide. But I would pretty much argue that that's just a problem, that the venue is too small and there's just too many rounds. So this event in general, if it was organized in a place where 400 people can be in one round, that would reduce the amount of time that the event takes. At the moment, it is 6 days long, which is extremely long, and it could be reduced to about 3 days if the venue was large enough. Last year, the images that they released were incredibly fun. So especially I think the audience favorite was definitely this one, which was the Valladolid puzzle. It was specifically designed for the World Championship. It is about the city of Valladolid in general. So there are all kinds of things in it that you can recognize if you have been to Valladolid. There's also some puzzling going on, and those who have looked at the image a little bit closer, there's actually also a World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship trophy in the middle. So it's full of little Easter eggs, and it's just an adorable image. So this one was very, very good. Also the individual semifinals were very nice, and all the other unreleased puzzles at the World Championship were actually quite nice. So I'm really wondering what they're going to be like. I personally have been looking forward to this event for months now. It's going to be super exciting. I'm going to try and film as much as possible. Thankfully, I'm going to have help with that. And I'm definitely going to put together an after Worlds video as well, just to attempt to sum up the entire week that it's going to be. I'm also looking forward to see people that I very rarely get to meet in person, even though we are in regular contact on the internet, but live is very, very different, obviously. So the way I look at it is just going to be a celebration of a shared hobby, and I really think that it's going to be a very good event, even if there's some hiccups in the organization, which has happened last year, or there's stuff that I don't necessarily agree with in the rules. I do think that this is just going to be a celebration of puzzling fast, and it's going to be the event that a lot of us have been preparing for a very long time. So we're definitely going to make the best of it. So I'm looking forward to the event very much. And if you want to see how the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship is going to be going, then definitely tune in for the live stream that is on the World Jigsaw Puzzle Federation's channel, which is going to be available on their YouTube channel throughout the entire event. But also hit the like on this video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm also going to be bringing out a video after the World Championship. Thank you very much for watching, and see you after Worlds.